Hey, aloha, everybody. Tom Gaddis here. Welcome to our walk through Wednesday, where today we are going to be going over winning with workflows. That's right. Everything you've ever wanted to know about workflows, how they work, what to do with them, how they relate to HighLevel and to any of you Smart Directory AI users out there, or anyone who has imported any of the snapshots that you might have gotten with various trainings we do. Normally, workflows are a part of those. So today we're going to dive deep into them and talk about them. I'll also answer your questions. So it's going to be very, very exciting. I have our Rockstar Operations Manager, Cameron, wrote on the call as well.
Hello,
So if you
everybody.
guys can let me know in the chat that you can see my screen and you can see me, you can see Cameron, let us know. You can hear me. Michael, what's up? Michael says, I made my first workflow yesterday. Love it. Glad to be here. Awesome, Michael. Way to go, man. Valerie says, yes, I can see you both. Michael Barnes already shooting for the replay. He's like, man, I just want to get the replay going. Yes, Michael, we're recording and we will get a replay out. By the way, you guys, you can always catch these walkthrough Wednesdays live on our YouTube channel. So we post them there. We even have a playlist there that you can see there as well. Wendy, what's up? She says, yes. Richard Garcia, yes. Aloha, and Salim, good to see you. Yeah, nice to see you guys too. All right, awesome. So a couple of things. We got a lot of people on here. So, if you guys could do me a favor, if you have questions, Cameron, how do you want to run this? Should we direct specific questions to the Q&A, or do we just want to have people put a Q in front so we can easily spot them? What do you think?
I think the Q&A is probably going to make it easier to keep track of those questions. So yeah, if you
Okay.
go, you'll see the little icon somewhere in your toolbar
Yeah, so
for
you should
Q&A.
have two things there. There's a chat and there's a Q&A. So if you guys want, if you have chat things, like you're just making comments, whatever, pop those in the chat. If you have a specific question that you would like us to answer, hey, Barbara, good to see you. Pop those in the Q&A and we will get to them as we go through. I don't know if he's here, but I had an awesome dinner last night with Mike Reamer, who is one of our he's been in our community, Cameron, for a long time, I think since the beginning. His
Yeah.
wife is here in Vegas competing in a bowling tournament.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, really, really awesome. So I got to hang out with him last night and I had a great time. Mike, your wife is awesome. It was my wife had a lot of fun too. So really, really awesome stuff. Okay, so let's dive in. We're gonna be talking about winning with workflows. Let me share my screen here. Now, Cameron, as always, has done an amazing job in putting together a resource PDF to go with today's training on winning with workflows. So if you are watching this video on YouTube, do me a favor. We really want to make sure the channel is strong and it's getting good interaction. So if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like the video, make sure you hit subscribe. And then if you could do me a favor and just post a comment to the video, either me or someone on the team will respond and get you a link to this PDF with all the information and resources and assets with what we're going to be talking about today with winning with workflows. For those of you that are here right now on this call, Cameron just dropped the link in the chat. So if you go to the chat right now, you'll see a link there to this PDF so you can download it. This has a lot more. This has all written out detail of what we're going to be covering today and going over. So I think you guys are really going to love this PDF. It's an awesome resource. A lot of really great stuff in there. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to keep sharing my screen here because we are going to be dealing and doing in HighLevel today. All right. So I want to talk first and just address some basic things that need to be in place in your HighLevel account to make workflows really work for you, right? So that you can win with workflows. There's a couple of settings that you want to make sure, a couple of things that you need to have connected before that. For all of you who on this call right now is one of my Smart Directory AI users, who on here is using Smart Directory AI? Let me know in the comments. I see me, EJ, Michael, Barbara. Okay, but oh man, a lot of people. All right. I want to talk to you guys specifically just for a minute because we use workflows extensively in Smart Directory AI. And I think this is just a good opportunity to kind of start to pull back the curtain and let you see, what is happening in Smart Directory AI and what HighLevel is delivering. So workflows are a function of HighLevel, not of Smart Directory AI. So Smart Directory AI brings a ton of functionality into your HighLevel account for building a directory site, like the ability to manage from a dashboard, the businesses, the approving, the listings, the look of the site. Like there's all kinds of functionality that Smart Directory AI adds to your HighLevel account so you can build a directory. The way that we were able to make Smart Directory AI do a lot more amazing things is by building it on top of HighLevel, where we can then tap into the native HighLevel functions like workflows and calendars and contacts and opportunities and pipelines and marketing and automation, which is workflows, right? So workflows are a function of HighLevel. So why am I telling you that? Because if you're having an issue with the workflow, that is not a result of Smart Directory AI. That's usually a result of HighLevel. So I'm going to give you some troubleshooting tips and things like that. But if you're running into issues with workflows, a good place to look for solutions is the HighLevel documentation or to reach out to HighLevel support directly. A lot of the times they can just get in and help fix those things for you a lot quicker than we can because we don't have all the under the hood stuff to the workflows, right? Like we're just tapping into those and using them in conjunction with Smart Directory AI. All right, so what do we need to have set up before we can really use the awesome power of workflows? And by the way, for those of you that may be new to HighLevel, how many people on here are new to HighLevel? Let me know in the chat how many of you here are new to HighLevel. The link to the PDF is in the comments, so just scroll up, you'll see it there. I see lots of people new to HighLevel. Okay. Workflows at first may seem a little complicated and overwhelming to you, but I assure you, once you kind of understand the basics that we're going to talk about today, they're very simple and straightforward, but they are an extremely powerful tool in your HighLevel arsenal because workflows allow you to automate a lot of tasks that normally you would have to repeat or things that you would have to do manually. So before you can really take advantage of workflows, though, we need to have an email sender set up. If you're going to use SMS messaging, you want to have a phone number set up. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the CRM side of things because you may want to have like a pipeline set up so that you can track opportunities. And I'll talk about what all that stuff is. So you're going to get a good little overview and introduction to some of the core functions of HighLevel. Now, look, I know like these aren't the sexy AI functions that everybody wants to talk about, but these functions that we're going to be talking about today, these are like core things that make the AI stuff and all those things sexy. So like, yes, the AI agents and all that stuff are great, but a lot of times if you don't know how to put a workflow together or how workflows work, like you're just going to be banging your head against the wall trying to get things done with those type of tools. So this is really a foundational training, an important one. So make sure you pay attention, download the PDF, spend some time on your own playing around with workflows, creating them, testing, like just trying to do different things, not for any specific thing, but just to start to get familiar and comfortable with them. Because once you kind of see how they work and what the different pieces are, as I'm going to show you today, you'll realize they're actually very, very easy and very, very straightforward. So let's talk about setting up your email. So when you are a new HighLevel user, HighLevel wants you to set up a couple of things from the get-go. You may, if you've done a HighLevel onboarding call, they'll usually help you with this stuff, but I want to walk through this for you real quick. One is setting up an email sender. So HighLevel has a fantastic built-in email sender called Lead Connector. If you have never heard of Lead Connector before, it's basically HighLevel's white label version, I think, Cameron, of Mailgun, right? But it's
Pretty
built
much,
in. Yeah, it's built into the HighLevel system. So in the past, where you would have to connect HighLevel to an outside source, Lead Connector allows you to easily send emails and SMS messages and not have to do a lot of the technical setup on the back end. It's also what powers the app that you can have your clients download, and then they can access various parts of their HighLevel account. You can access various things on the app. The Lead Connector app, you can go in and see conversations and messages and all kinds of things like that. Lead Connector is what HighLevel calls a gray label, meaning the reason they don't call it the HighLevel connector is because you may be providing high-level services to clients and you don't want them to know they're high-level services. So they created this gray label called Lead Connector so that your clients will never see HighLevel in any of this stuff. They just see Lead Connector, which could just be your thing, right? So that's why it exists the way it does and what its purpose is. And then let's show you how to get this set up. So I'm in a HighLevel sub account here. I'm just going to go over to the left-hand menu. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the very bottom to settings. I'm going to click on settings. And in this settings list, you're going to see right here in this middle section, business services, probably like third from the bottom, there's email services. So everybody, can you guys see my screen? If you can't see, maybe
Yes,
tap
we
at
can
the
see
top.
it.
Yep, you can see it.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
muted.
All right. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go down here to email services. And you're going to see, first of all, because this is a new-ish demo account, it's going to tell me right away that I do not have a dedicated domain connected, and that if I want to increase my email deliverability, I should have a dedicated sending domain. So what is a dedicated sending domain? Well, if you were to just start sending emails in HighLevel right now without doing this step, you would be sending emails from the same IP address as every other user on HighLevel. Like it's just that's doing that. And so that's just not good, right? You don't know what emails people are sending. You don't know how the quality is. So you want to have a dedicated domain so that you can build up a quality sender reputation and your emails don't end up in spam. They actually hit the inbox and your potential prospects and customers can see them. So one way to do that is by having a dedicated sending domain. So it's really easy to set this up. The first thing, I'm going to exit out of this for a minute because it automatically pops that up. But I want you to see that this is Lead Connector email system and it is selected. Okay. You can use your own SMTP provider, which I'm not going to go into a lot of details of this. That's basically just another way to send emails through a software platform. If you want, you don't have to use Lead Connector, but Lead Connector is way simpler to use. So if you're new to HighLevel and all that, I just recommend that you use this. Okay, so it should automatically be selected. And again, you can see I'm getting this message. It's telling me that I don't have a dedicating domain set up. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in a minute. But I want to just walk through these top things because this is where all your kind of like general email settings live inside HighLevel. So these are reply and forward settings. So for instance, when you're, so I should say this. This is, I think, a good point to say this. When you're sending email through workflows, it's not like a regular email account, right? So when someone responds to an email that you send out in a workflow, the response actually shows up in the conversations tab inside of your HighLevel account. So when you go back here, this conversations tab, this is where you will see anyone who responds to an email that is inside a workflow. Okay, so when you connect lead connector and start sending emails. I guess the point I'm trying to make is it is not like a traditional email account where you have an inbox and it's all in one place. It sends emails out in all different kinds of workflows from all different places. So there's no there's no inbox of that. Okay. It doesn't function like a regular email account. So if you want to have a regular email account for your business, then you will want to set one of those up. Like for instance, we use G Suite. So we have like Tom at minamarketing.com as a G Suite email. And then we just connect that email in HighLevel. They have a two-way sync function, which I can show you a little later. And then that's a regular email address. But these emails in the workflows are not a regular email address. And so, there's no inbox to just go and see all your messages and all that stuff like a regular email account. It doesn't function that way. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But in this reply and forward settings area, one thing you can do is you can add a reply address. So like I could put my personal email in here, and then whenever someone responds to an email in my workflow, it would also send it to this address that's here so that I would see it. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope. Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right. These are your email analytics. So it'll show you like sent, delivered, open, clicked. So you can kind of look at what you're doing, failed. There's also a risk assessment tab. As you start to send emails, you can go in here and see how is it rating your risk assessment. It'll show you bounce. So bounce is when you send an email and it doesn't get delivered. It's not a real email address. So one thing we like to do when we build a list of leads is run them through some type of email checker just to make sure that the emails are valid and good. Bounce rate can affect deliverability. And when you think about the things that affect deliverability, think about like, well, when somebody is spamming, what do they get a lot of? Well, they get a lot of people that don't open their emails. They get a lot, they're just farming email addresses. They don't care about where they're coming from. So they probably have a lot of email addresses that are bad and no one responds to their emails. So when you think about, well, how can I get a good sender reputation? Then you just want to you want to make sure that what you're doing generates the opposite of those activities. So we only want to be sending emails to people that we're pretty sure these are real email addresses. We want to be sending emails that get opened. We want people to be responding, and especially in the beginning, right? And we don't just want to be sending out mass amounts of emails all at one time. So when you think about email deliverability, that's kind of the simplest way I think about it is like, okay, well, what happens when somebody's spamming? What are the signs? What could be the signs that they're spamming, right? No, low open rates, high bounce rate, no one replying to their emails. So I really want to focus on those three things and make sure that those things are happening for me. Okay. And then you can also connect Google Postmaster tools to your email if you want. All right, so let's go back to connecting a domain. So it's very, very simple. All we have to do here is go to the dedicated domain tab, and we just click add domain, and we just type in the domain that we want. Now, HighLevel gives you some recommendations here, and I think it's a good idea to follow these recommendations. So they say, look, when you're connecting a domain, use a subdomain. So what is a subdomain? So let's say that I have I'm going to use the URL example smartdirectory.com, example smartdirectoryai.com. So that is my root domain. Now, a subdomain would be like if I said mail.smartdirectoryai.com. That's a subdomain. So that word in the front with the dot means it's a different place, right? But it's part of the same structure as my root domain. So like if I want to set up for mail, they recommend you set up a subdomain so that your root domain isn't actually doing the mailing. But when you do this in HighLevel, when you set up a subdomain, you can still use your root domain for your email addresses. So let me show you what I mean. I already have one up here. So they recommend that you do mg dot and then whatever your domain is. So I'm going to do mg.example smartdirectory.com. That's what I'm going to do here. Okay. So you just pop in this, right? This is a domain name that I own. I own it over at Namecheap. And then you just click add and verify. Now, HighLevel is going to do a whole bunch of stuff in the background, right? So look, here's my domain, mg.example smartdirectory.com. And I can either add the record manually, or if I click continue, HighLevel will attempt to configure it for me. So I'm just going to click continue. And now HighLevel is setting up this domain for me. So what does that mean? Well, in the background, they are contacting my registrar and they are creating these various records that need to exist on my domain for email to happen. Okay. So it says that I need to add these records. Okay. And they have a video here for help. So Cameron, I'm not logged into Namecheap anymore. So I'm not going to go through this on the call, but basically what you do here is you would log into where your domain lives. You would find the domain that you want, and then you would go to manage DNS and you would just add these records exactly as you see them here to your DNS thing. And then you come back and you click verify records, and that's it. Once that sees the records exist on your domain, then your dedicated domain is all set up. Sorry, I was logged into Namecheap, but I got knocked out when the internet went out. So I'm not going to go through this actual part, but very straightforward. And if you have any issues, there's a help video right here. And also inside of the PDF that Cameron put together for you guys, I'm going to bring this over into the screen, the Winning for Workflows PDF. You'll see there's a thing, getting started, setting up email. This goes to the HighLevel documentation that walk you through the whole process, show you exactly what to do, okay, if you have any issues. So that is how we set up a dedicated domain. Now, once we have the dedicated domain set up, then HighLevel will be sending our emails from that domain. All right. Okay. Now, phone numbers. So if you want to send SMS messages as part of your workflows, and by the way, SMS is not the only option you have. You can also send WhatsApp and other things that you can connect inside the workflows. But if you want to use traditional SMS text messages, you need to connect a phone number. So you go here again, I'm in settings. So I'm going to go to the very bottom to settings, and under email services is phone numbers. You just click on here and you just go to add a number. So you click you can add a phone number, you can add a number pool. So a number pool is like if you had a team of salespeople and you wanted to rotate all the incoming calls like through the pool of numbers, you could do that, or you can add a verified caller ID. Okay. So this will make it so that you actually have a name when it shows up on the caller ID. So I'm going to click add phone number. And then you can select the country, and then you just, all you have to do is it'll show you some options. You can actually type in, I think, specific ones that you want to, and you just find a number that you like, and you can see this is how much the phone number costs, $1.15, very, very inexpensive. So, and then you can find one in your location. So I found one even in Hawaii, which is usually very, very hard. So, yep, you can do that all here and get that, right? So you just select the number that you want, and then you just proceed to buy, and you're good to go. Once you have the phone number, the next step, if you want to send SMS, is A2P approval. So this is A2P is a law here in the United States. So I do not know a way to get around the law. And I do not recommend that you try to circumvent the law and send SMS without A2P approval. So our recommendation is always that we do business by the law and ethically, and that if there's something we need to do, then we get approved for it. If that means we have to purchase business license and we've got to do things that maybe we really didn't want to do, but we need it to get that approval, we do it. We want to run our business in a professional and like it's a real business, right? We're not trying to pull one over on people. So whatever licenses and things we need, we want to get that stuff set up, and we want to get A2P approval. Now, A2P approval can be tricky, right? Because there's requirements and things you have to do. So again, in the Winning with Work Through PDF, Cameron has put in a great step-by-step guide for A2P approval. HighLevel has amazing support on this. They even have a special help section that will help you get A2P approved. So if you're having any issues, reach out to HighLevel. This is part, again, of their platform, and they can help you do that. You can also use this stuff that we have in here, right? Now, that being said about sending regular SMS, if you sign up for a toll-free number, you don't have to have A2P approval. And you do not have to use SMS in your workflows. So if you are a SmartDirectoryAI user, I'm going to use that as an example. So I'm going to go into automations, which is where workflows live. So here, let me go back. I'm going to go under marketing. There's automation. So this is where workflows live inside HighLevel. So if you're ever looking for a workflow, you always start by going to automation. This is where workflows live. So let's say that you're in a unique situation and you just, for whatever reason, you cannot get A2P approved. What do you do? Because some of the workflows in SmartDirectoryAI, like we have SMS built into these workflows. Like, for instance, I think the new listing added is one. So, oh, no, that's not one. Let me find one that has, I think, the premium upgrade push. Yeah, so this one has an SMS message in it, right? But if you're not A2P approved, this message will never go out, okay? So if you don't have a phone number connected in Lead Connector, this message will never go out. If you're not A2P approved, this message will never go out. So what does that mean? Well, if you send people through this workflow and you don't have a phone number connected or you're not A2P approved, everything in this workflow will happen except for the SMS. So the SMS just won't happen. But all of the other, the emails, all of that will go out. So your options, if you can't, for whatever reason, if you can't or do not want to get A2P approved, is one, you just do nothing and then the SMS messages don't go out and you just use the email. Perfectly acceptable. For a long time, we only used email with our directory site. We did not have the ability to SMS message. It works just fine. So the SMS is not a deal breaker if you can't send those messages out, okay? Now, you may want to go in and edit this workflow, and as I show you how to work with workflows, you'll see how to do that and all that stuff. But you do have some other options as well, because SMS isn't the only way you can send messages from a workflow. So you could also send a WhatsApp message or a Facebook Messenger, or you could just replace this step with something other than SMS and continue to move forward. So if you can't or you don't want to get A2P approved, don't stress. You have other options. That is by no way a deal breaker to getting moving with workflows and making workflows work for you. So does everybody follow me on that? Because I see this a lot. People are like, well, I can't get A2P approved, and they just stop doing things. Do not do that. Okay, you have options. Just use one of the other options and forget about SMS. That will not make or break your success. Consistently prospecting and reaching out and doing all that other stuff is what's going to make your success, not whether you're using SMS or not. Okay. All righty. Let's go back to automations and let me make sure that I covered everything here. So I talked about connecting email. We talked about connecting a phone number. We talked about A2P approval. Oh, one other thing that I just want to bring to your attention is a function of HighLevel called pipelines. So what is a pipeline? So a pipeline is a CRM function. So here's a marketing pipeline. So this is a very simple pipeline. So what happens with a pipeline is it's basically your customer journey, right? So you'll see in this one, here's where a new lead comes in, right? So this is a new lead. When we contact the new lead, we can then manually move this person over to this section. So now we know they're not a new lead. Now we know they've been contacted. If another person comes and looks at this, or we have a lot of activity going on, I can come in here and I can already see that this Casey, this Dunder Mifflin right here, they're already qualified. So I don't have to ask somebody what's going on with this lead? What's happening with that lead? So a pipeline is a way to keep your HighLevel calls them opportunities, but it's really a lead. Pipelines are a way to organize your opportunities and be able to easily keep track of what stage of the process they're in, what things you've done for them, and what you need to do next, right? So this qualified person, we know the next step is to send them a proposal. So if I were to log in here and go, oh, I need to create a proposal. And once I send them the proposal, I would move them over here manually. So this is really kind of the old school way of CRM management, doing all this manually, right? But HighLevel and workflows allow you to move people with automation. So instead of having to come into this pipeline and move someone along, I can set up a workflow and I can tell the workflow when the person does this, change their pipeline stage and move them here. So for instance, I have this person in proposal sent, I could have a workflow that sends them the proposal and then says, when they send the proposal back, move them into the closed section. And the workflow will do it automatically. So this is really the power of workflows, is that you don't have to come in and manually move your leads through a pipeline or processes. The workflows do it for you. So pipelines are very, very easy to set up. You just go to opportunities. This is where pipelines and opportunities live. You'll see up here in the top, there's a pipeline tag. When you click on that, this is the pipeline that exists. So I can edit this existing pipeline, and you can see it's very easy. You just add a stage, you can give it a name, you can easily slide them up and down, you can delete them by clicking here. So all of that good stuff, right? And if I want to create a pipeline, go to pipelines. Cameron, why am I missing the button for create a pipeline?
I think it may be in the settings, actually.
Oh.
You could try the 3 dots over there, but all right, and then one more, that drop down. Does it give you an option in the drop down? The marketing pipeline drop down? No.
No.
Yeah, I think it's in the settings. Opportunities and pipelines, see it?
Oh yeah, there it is, right there at the top. So opportunities and pipelines. So you can go over here to pipelines. Oh, it's still not there. That's so weird.
Give me just a second. I'll figure out where it's at.
Yeah, it looks like maybe they moved it. That's so weird, because I thought it was right in the opportunities thing. All right, well, Cameron's going to figure that out. But there is a button. You just click it and it says create a pipeline, right? Maybe it's bulk actions. Nope. That's so weird. Normally it's right in here. So basically, when you click add a pipeline, it brings up this screen and you give your pipeline a name, and then you just start clicking add stage, giving them names. And again, you can move them around, delete them. So it all works exactly the same way as editing a pipeline when you add a pipeline. So we'll find the button. I don't know why it's not here. But then when you come here, you'll see this is the pipeline that's selected, but you can have multiple pipelines, right? Multiple pipelines, and they will all show up in this drop down menu. So you can change between pipelines so that you can see what's going on. So you may have a pipeline for an AI chat widget, and then you could have another pipeline for SEO services. So you may have different pipelines for different things. And with the automations, you can move people from one pipeline to another pipeline and all that stuff. So I don't know what list is. Boy, that is so weird. I feel like it should be obvious. Like I'm just missing it. Like it's somewhere in here, but I'm just not seeing it.
Well, I thought it was under, if you go to pipelines, then there should be an add pipeline button somewhere, but I'm wondering if maybe it's something with your, the access level on your account. So
Oh, it
just
could
a
be.
minute, let me check.
It could be. Here, let me go to a different account. I'll go to Tom's HighLevel instruction account. That's always a good one. Love to get into this one. So I'm going to go down here to opportunities and pipelines. Go to pipelines. Look at that. All the pipelines, but I don't see a button.
Where did they come from?
Oh, that's so funny. Let's go back over here. Look, same thing. That's so weird. Maybe that's a quirk. Maybe we found a bug. That's so weird. If you want to add an opportunity, you just click add an opportunity. So, okay, well, we're going to move forward. We'll come back to that. You can always go here again in the Winning with Workflows PDF. There is a guide here, step by step, creating pipelines. Camera, maybe click that link. I know the button should be there and it's just not there, but that's so weird. Interesting. Okay, we're going to move forward. Oh, somebody said something flashed upper right. Oh, there it is. I see it. Look at that. Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a bug?
Yeah, it's got to be some bug with HighLevel.
Yeah. Well, we should email their support and let them know. Because there it is. You're right. There it is right there. Create. You guys see it? Create a pipeline. There. It's there. It's
What if you
there.
refresh that page right now, Tom? Just a whole refresh.
Now we broke it, Cameron. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
That's so funny. So where am I at? So I'm in opportunities and I just clicked on pipelines and there it is. So it was something with my screen. Good catch. Whoever saw that. Sharp
Yeah.
eye. So to create a new pipeline, you just click this button. It opens this up. You give it a name. And then there's already one stage there. And to add more stages, oh, you have to put in a name first. So we'll put in tests. And then you can add stage names. And then you can add as many stages as you want. And you can move using these arrows. Delete all that stuff. Okay. That was a real Scooby-Doo mystery, people, but we solved it. Entrepreneurship in action right there, Cameron. Entrepreneurship in action.
Yeah, it's the wisdom of the crowd.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Okay. So let's get to why we're really here. Workflows. So what are workflows? So at the core, a workflow is just a smart way to handle repetitive tasks. So you set it up once, it runs automatically. We use workflows to avoid doing repetitive tasks, and mainly we use them to handle the grind work of prospecting. So if you're a SmartDirectoryAI user, we're using workflows to add what are essentially cold leads into a system and then send them an email, get them to raise their hand, get them to make some kind of acknowledgement that they're interested in what we're doing. That lets us know that they're a warm lead and worth investing more attention and time into. And then we use automations to move them through that process. So when you think about using workflows for prospecting, that's usually what we want to do. We want to use them as a filtering system, right? Because how many people on this call have experienced the frustration of you have a list of people you want to reach out to, and like just figuring out who is a genuinely good lead to continue to follow up with is super frustrating. I know in the beginning, we would spend a lot of time with leads. We'd send a proposal and then we'd never hear from them. They'd ghost us, right? Or they're just all kinds of things that can happen. Just, you're trying to follow up with a lead that's never going to respond. Well, we want to use automations to do a lot of that stuff so that we end up only talking to and responding to the people that we want to help. So again, workflows live in automation. So you go to automation and you can always see the workflows in the automation section. Now, I'm in a demo. I'm in a demo account where I just have a fresh new install of Smart Directory AI. So I'm going to use the workflows here as an example. So if you've imported any snapshots from us and you go to automations, you will see workflows that we have different workflows in different snapshots. So the workflows that you have from whatever snapshots you imported may be different from what I have here, right? Or if you've never imported a snapshot, you may not have any workflows here. So I will show you how to create a workflow next, but I want to start with showing you how to edit an existing workflow, right? And a great example of workflows is when someone comes and adds a business to your Smart Directory site, right? You then want a notification sent to you letting you know that somebody added a business. You maybe want someone on your team to know, and you want the person who added the business to get an email. So a workflow actually takes that process and just does it all for you, so you don't have to manually do that or have somebody on your team do it. And then if you want the client to receive a series of emails, you can do that as well. So all of that is powered by automation. Now, workflows are so powerful because they allow you to reduce manual effort while keeping things personalized and flexible for future updates. So one thing I would recommend to all of you is there is a tendency when people really start to have that aha moment about workflows and what they can do to get really complicated. People think, oh man, I saw somebody post a workflow in the HighLevel group one time. There must have been there had to be at least 250 different branches and actions. And if they do this and they do that, and I looked at that and they talked about how they had been working on that for 6 months. I want you to think about that for a second. 6 months of working on this workflow, but not putting anybody through it. Like that to me is insanity. So we recommend that you keep your workflows very simple. Do not try to do too much with your workflows. Why is that so important? Because you don't know what changes are coming down the pipe. You don't know what's going to change in your processes. And so you want to keep workflows simple, and you want to have a workflow that does one thing. And having multiple workflows that do multiple things is perfectly fine, because it's easier to go in and fix things if they break or change things if you need to. But when you have a big, long, complicated workflow, something breaks or something changes, and it can be a monster to go in and try to fix all that. So just don't do it. You'll notice all the workflows and stuff in Smart Directory AI and a lot of our other snapshots are all very simple. They're very straightforward. We keep them very clean. That is on purpose, because we know when you're out there in the real world working with clients, there's nothing worse than not being able to fix a problem or go back and find out what's not working right. So we keep all that stuff super simple. It will make your life a lot easier. Now, when it comes to workflows, there are a couple of vocabulary terms you want to know. So Albert, yes, workflows are in your sub accounts. So you create them in your sub accounts. Okay. So 2 words to know: triggers and actions. Okay. So what is a trigger? So a workflow needs a trigger to put it in motion. So think about this. If we have a bunch of people walking down the street, we just want we just let them all walk by. But if someone were to turn to us and say hello, then we would respond, right? We don't just respond to every single person that's walking by because they're just walking by. But when somebody turns and says hello, that would be a trigger action. That triggers us to a response. So a workflow is just sitting there, not doing anything until it gets triggered. So a trigger is the action, the event that starts the workflow. So triggers can be a lot of things. And let me show you this. I'm going to go into the Smart Directory AI workflows. Oh, I'm in a different account. That's why. Here, let me go back to, I moved account to look for pipelines. So let me go back to this so I can show you here. So this is a basic install of Smart Directory AI. You can see here's the Smart Directory AI workflows. These were imported, by the way, when you imported the Smart Directory AI snapshot. Because workflows, email templates, websites, funnels, pages, all of those things are high-level assets. They are imported when you import the Smart Directory AI snapshot. When you install the Smart Directory AI app, that puts all the functionality in of being able to build a directory site, in case you're wondering. So if I go into these workflows, let's say I go right in here to this claim request. We'll just do the first one, claim request approved, right? Now, the Smart Directory AI workflows are a little different because we're triggering these workflows from inside the Smart Directory AI app. I'll talk about that in a minute. But like if this were a workflow, if I were going to create a new workflow, the first thing I'd want to do is add a trigger. And you can see there are a lot of different things that can trigger a workflow. This is really what I want to show you here. Ignore, the workflow for the moment, but look at all these triggers, right? So we can do things by contact. So we can do birthday reminders. So when their birthday comes up as a trigger, if we change the contact, if we create a contact, if we add a tag, we can set custom dates. If somebody adds a note to a contact, that can trigger a workflow. Note change, task added, like this is all stuff. Then there's events, right? We can set up call status. So did they answer? Did they not answer? We can set up email events. If they replied to one of our messages, if they submitted a form. So did they go to our website and submit a form? That can trigger a workflow. If they click a link, there's Facebook lead form, TikTok, video, look at all these triggers, LinkedIn form submitted, all kinds of stuff here, right? Plus there's appointments. So their appointment status, did they show up? Did they not show up? Did they book, right? We can do all those. Opportunities. You'll remember opportunities are in pipelines, right? They're leads in a pipeline. So if the opportunity status is changed, that can trigger a workflow. If an opportunity is created, so when in that pipeline I showed you earlier, if I put a new lead into the first stage of that pipeline, when I do that, I can have a workflow fire that sends them an email and does whatever action I want, right? Stale opportunities. There's affiliate stuff. There's courses. There's payments, right? Invoice, payment received, order submitted, all of these things. Shopify stuff, IVR. These are Facebook, Instagram events. This is stuff with communities. So, and you can just ignore these. We don't use these anymore. And then there's all apps you can do. So there's lots of things that can trigger a workflow. So the possibilities are really endless, and it makes it easy for you to do these things based on whatever it is you're doing. Now, the next word you need to know is actions. So actions occur after the contact is added to a workflow. So they only begin after a trigger adds a contact to the workflow. Then the workflow will execute the actions the user creates. So what does all that mean? Well, we have a trigger here that when the claim request is approved, it does this as an action. An email is an action. So it sends this person an email, and then it sends them an SMS, and then this waiting is an action. And then when it's done, it adds them to another workflow. This is what I was talking about earlier. You can move people between workflows. Now, for you Smart Directory AI users, this is all already built in your snapshot. We've done all this stuff for you. So you can see the value in these snapshots, how much time and work they save you from having to figure all this stuff out, because we just give you what we've already set up. So how do you add an action? So you add triggers by clicking triggers, and you can have multiple triggers in a workflow. And then this little plus sign, you'll see this is how you add an action. When I click that plus sign, it opens up the actions tab. So some of these are different from what's in the triggers list. So there are a lot of actions, right? We can create a contact, find a contact, update a contact field. Like this is just all stuff that has to do with contacts. These are all actions that we can do to a contact. Here's communication, right? We can send an email, send an SMS. We can send a Slack message. We can call somebody. We can go to voicemail. We can send them a Facebook Messenger message. We can DM them on Instagram. We can add them manually to an SMS, a manual call. We can message them on their Google My Business. We can send an internal notification. So sometimes, like if you have a team, when something happens, like when a new contact is added, you may want to let other people on your team know that a new contact is added, but you don't want the contact to see those messages. So then we can set up and send internal notifications. Those only go to our internal team, and the contact will never see those, right? Here's a send review request action, conversation, like look at all this stuff. Then there's data that we can get. Then there's internal. So this is where people tend to go really nuts. There's this action called if else, which means if they do this, do one thing. If they do else, do another thing. It can get really complicated very fast, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. Wait, right? So this is really important in workflows, because when you have a workflow, you don't want all the emails and SMS messages just barraging the person all at once. You want them spaced out over time. So this wait action, that like tells the workflow, send, like you can see here in this workflow on the left, we send when a claim request is approved, we send an email and an SMS, but then we tell it to wait for 1 day. And then we move it into the workflow premium upgrade push. That way they don't just start getting barraged with emails and messages from us, right? Then there's workflow AI, there's Eliza, there's appointments, there's opportunity actions, payments. So again, lots of different things you can do here. And like I said in the beginning, I would recommend that you go into automations, that you just open up, and create a blank workflow and just go in and play around with it and look in the lists and see what different things does and all that kind of stuff. It'll help you feel a little familiar. Now, this is the workflow builder that I'm in right now. So whenever you come into automations and workflows and you go into a workflow, this is the workflow builder. And again, I'll show you how to create one of these from scratch in a minute, but I'm just going to use this existing one. So the name of the workflow is up here. You can see the workflow. It's kind of laid out like a mind map, right? And if we start I can add things. I can, if I want to go in and edit this email, I can just click on email, and then I can click on, here's the email template that we created for this. So I can just click on edit, and it will open up this email. And oops, I don't know why it did that, Cameron. Not sure why it's doing that. I can edit this template in the template section as well, but you can edit them there. I'll show you where you can edit SMS messages here in just a minute. But this is the email builder, right? And there are a couple of other things up here at the top that are important to know about as well. These are the settings of your workflow. So you can see I can allow a contact to re-enter once it has left the workflow, or I can turn this off. And then once someone goes through this workflow, they can't go back through it again, right? So I can allow multiple opportunities. So this allows a contact with multiple opportunities to enter the workflow as separate executions. I can stop on response. So if somebody responds, like if I have a workflow and let's say that I have 7 email messages, but once somebody responds, I'm going to call them. So I don't want them to get any of the other emails. I can turn this on. And once the contact responds, it stops the workflow automatically, right? This is where I can set my communication settings, time zone, time windows. So like maybe you're in an area where you do business and regular business hours, and you don't want your automations sending emails at 12 o'clock at night. You want them to send emails during a certain time frame. You can set that up in here. You can turn this on and you can set a specific window. And then no matter when a contact gets added to the workflow, it will only start running them through the workflow during these times. Okay. Number all that stuff you can do mark as red as well. Then in your workflows, you can go here to enrollment history and you'll see all the people that have been put through your workflow that are in it, right? The contact, the enrollment reason, the date enrolled, the current action, the current status, and when the next action is going to fire, right? So this allows you to go in and look and see what's happening with the contacts inside your workflows. And then there's a tab called execution logs. So remember earlier when I said, if you don't have a phone number connected, and you don't have it or you're not A2P approved, it will send the emails, but it won't send the SMS messages. Well, if you went into a workflow that was set up and that happened, you could go to execution logs and it would show you email sent, and then it would say SMS message not delivered, and then it would give you the reason why. So if you ever have a workflow that is not functioning the way that you think it should, you can go here and look at the execution logs and see like what's not working and why. It will actually tell you why that thing didn't work. Okay. So builder settings, enrollment history, execution log. One final thing. Okay. And that is when you click on an email in a workflow, you're going to see down here is this test emails. Okay. This does not test the workflow. Okay. This only sends you an example of this email. So if you put an email address in here and say send test email, it will send you this email. But these email templates, like some of them have custom stuff in it. Like, let me show you this. So let me go cancel. Oh, wait, let me just get out of here. Confirm. Let me go to like new listing added. This is a good one. Okay. So if I go into the very first email, and you'll see here it says click here to view and claim your listing. Well, that is a custom value that is populated based on the contact's listing. Okay. If you go into this workflow and you put an email address in here and you send it to yourself, there will be nothing will be linked there because it doesn't, there's no contact associated with the action. So it's pulling the link that it puts there from the contact's card. And if you don't have a contact associated with it, it has no link to pull. So if you just type in an email and you get an email and you're like, but none of my links are in here. That's why, because it has to have a contact to be able to populate that information. So this just shows you what the emails will look like. Like it'll just send you this email, but it won't populate any links or even see like this location name. Sometimes those things won't be populated either. And it's not that your workflow is broken. It's just that you're only testing the email, not the entire workflow. Okay. If you want to test the workflow, you have two options. One is to click test workflow, and then you can select a contact from your list, and then you do run test, and now it will put the contact through the workflow, and it has the ability to fill in all of the links and everything. Okay, so really important to know the difference between those two things. When you're on an action and you click something like test emails, all you do is get this email. It doesn't do anything, okay? If you want to test the actual workflow, you either have to use this test workflow, or you can just add a contact to this workflow. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute and run them through. Last thing I want to show you on this page is this button that is publishes and draft. So whenever you import snapshots and things like that, a lot of times the workflows will be in draft mode. You can go into a workflow and just click this to publish it, or you can leave it in draft so that you can work on it. Like if you're working on it and you don't want it to be doing things, just put it in draft and you can work on it. You can also publish and unpublish your workflows by clicking on these three dots next to each one. You'll see edit, rename, open a new tab, draft workflow, move to folder. This, if you click this, it will put it in draft and you just click confirm. And now you'll see it says this email warmup is in draft. And then if I want to publish it, I can just go back here and click publish workflow. So if you're looking to publish your workflows, that's how you do that. So claim request rejected, go here. I'm going to publish that as well. So you can look through and make sure all your workflows are published. And if they're not, why are they not published? Do you want them published, right? Okay, so that covers the main meat of like how we edit, actions, triggers, all those kinds of things. So now if you want to create a workflow from scratch, it's super easy. You pretty much know all the ins and outs now. You just go to automations, and instead of selecting a workflow, you just hit this big blue button that says create workflow. Now, here's an awesome thing about HighLevel. They have a lot of pre-built workflows that you can use as well. So when you download a snapshot from us, you get a lot of our custom workflows and things like that we built. But HighLevel has a lot of custom workflows that you can use from them. They call them recipes. So you'll see when I click this blue button, there's two options. There's either select a recipe or there's start from scratch. So if I go to this select a recipe, you will see these are all the pre-built workflows that HighLevel has. And they have a lot of really good ones in here. So I know I've seen people in the Facebook group that are doing the text call with missed call with text back with AI, right? So here's a recipe, auto missed call text back. So you could just start with that. There's also one in here, like here's an appointment confirmation reminder recipe. So you don't have to create these things yourself. Here's a birthday template. Here's a no-show nurture workflow. So I could go through here. Here's a Facebook Messenger workflow, right? This thing called the Fast Five is like, this is pretty cool. This is a workflow that like nurtures your leads in like 5 minutes. It does like a bunch of things all at once. Right? There's other ones in here that you can use too. Here's a Fast 5 Lite. Here's an email drip sequence. So here's a long-term nurture reactivation email sequence. So if you want to use any of these, all you do is select it. Okay. So like, let's do the long-term nurture one. So I'll just click select, and you'll see it loads in this pre-built workflow. It's in draft mode. And you can see it comes with all these wait 1 month email, wait 1 month. So this is a monthly email that goes out. So if you wanted to set up a workflow to send out a monthly email, you don't have to build it from scratch. You could just go in and use this. Now, all you'd have to do is what I've shown you on this call, add a trigger, right? And then edit any of these email templates that or emails that you want. So to edit an email or a message, you just click on it and then you can edit it right here in this little email editor over here. You can even use AI to help you write the messages. This little custom values thing, this allows you to do things like add the contact's first name, last name, all those kinds of things, right? So all of that stuff right in here. And these recipes, these recipes are really good. Okay, these recipes are really good. So let's see. I don't know where that one went. Let me shrink this down a lot. I hate it when it does that with the bottom thing. Recipe, long-term nurture. So you can see this one's in draft. Now, if I want to delete this workflow, I can just click on the three dots and click delete workflow. It makes you type in confirm before doing it because it can't be undone. And then you just click delete. And there you go. Now it's gone, right? So now you know how to delete a workflow. You can even create a folder where multiple workflows live. So one of the things that you'll see when you come to automations here, like all of these Smart Directory AI workflows are in one folder. So that's just an organization thing from us. So you go in the folder, and then there's all of the workflows that are part of that folder. Okay. Now, let me show you the other place that you can edit emails and SMS messages, especially if you've downloaded one of our workflows like Smart Directory AI. We created email templates so that if you want to edit an email, you don't have to go into every single workflow and click email and edit it there. So we created email templates, and you will find those under the marketing section, which is right above automations. And if you just go to emails and then click on templates, you'll see some of these are folders with multiple email templates in them, and some are just individual emails. So there are two kinds of emails that come with Smart Directory AI. One are the I don't know what the word is, you'd like the administrative messages. So when someone creates an account, when someone needs a password reset, when someone, like, there's a lot of administrative things like new user created, forgotten password. Uh, these things are all like administrative type emails. But then we also give you uh, prospecting emails, like emails that are designed to do things like sell SaaS, right? Sell premium listings, sell marketing services, do the free listing outreach. So, like, if you go into this folder, you'll see this is a sequence of emails. So these are all the emails that are used in this workflow for selling marketing services. So if you wanted to edit one of these, you would just go into it and you just click the little pencil and it pops it up, and now you can edit this email. Okay. Now you may notice we use text, like they're not fancy emails, right? We do that on purpose because they tend to get more better deliverability, but you can customize these, add your logos. We recommend that you always go through all the emails and customize them to your voice, your sound, your specific situation. These are really just a starting point, right? But they're in there. So that's where you can find emails to edit under templates. If you want to edit the SMS messages, those live under snippets. So SMS templates are called snippets. So next to emails at the top is snippets, and you just click on the little three dots and click edit, and it opens up a little mobile phone view, and you edit everything here on the left. Okay. And when you're done, you just click save. So these are the SMS messages that are used in the workflows, and these are the emails that are used in the Smart Directory AI workflows. One other thing I want to say about email deliverability and when you're first sending your workflows, like, really the thing that's going to build you the strongest sender reputation is if you're sending emails and they're getting opened and replied to. So you can actually help this along yourself by either having email accounts that you control directly, or by talking to some of your friends and telling them, like, hey, I'm going to send you some emails. I need you to do me a favor, open them and reply. And then that will help you build a strong sending reputation in the beginning. So when you connect your domain, maybe give that a shot. You know, if you have multiple emails you can access, use the ones you can use, and then get some friends and have people opening and responding. That will help you with your deliverability as well. Okay, so I talked about how to edit an existing workflow. I talked about the recipes. I talked about how to create a custom workflow. Okay, so I have this in the PDF. I'm not going to go into this on this call because, I think, like, this can be, again, workflows are actually very simple. I encourage you to go in and play around with them, look at the ones you have and all that stuff. Once it clicks, you'll be like, oh, this is really, really easy. I know in the beginning it can seem a little overwhelming, which is why I don't want to go into a lot of advanced stuff with workflows. But if you're on this call and you're further along, you're a long-time high-level user, or you're looking for more advanced stuff, in the PDF, I have a section called Advanced Workflows. where it walks you through some of the more advanced things you can do. And then finally, I just want to go through troubleshooting your workflow. So there are a bunch of reasons why a workflow might not fire the way you expect, but most of the time it comes down to a few simple things you can check to figure out like exactly what's going wrong. So I included this little workflow troubleshooting checklist for you. So keep this handy if you're having issues with your workflows, but always test with a fresh contact. Okay. So if you're using the same contact to test workflows over and over and over again, like that might be, so maybe try deleting the contact, creating a fresh one and putting that through. Test with a contact. So remember, I told you there's an option that says test workflow in the top right, right? But there's some limitations there. So it's always better to just run a contact through the workflow. Check your filters. So sometimes when you're doing actions, you have to filter for specific things, make sure those are all right. And then check workflow settings that it allows reentry. So if you're adding a contact and putting them through the workflow, and then you're like, oh, I want to test it again, and you go try to put that same contact in and you don't have allow reentry turned on, then it won't let that contact join the workflow. So that is like, oh my gosh, what is that? Lori, I'm gonna take your question. So let me show you one thing real quick, because I just wanted to show you guys how to add a contact to a workflow. So over here in this left-hand menu, there's contacts. If you click on this and you want to add a contact to a workflow, okay? Let's say I want to add one of these contacts to a workflow to test it out. All I have to do is select the contact I want. So I'm going to use the Hungry Hipster Cafe. And then up here at the top, you'll see there's a bunch of options: pipeline change, add to automation, send SMS, send email, add tags, right? See all this? So I just click add to automation. It's like a little circle with a little triangle pointing to the right. And it is going to pull up. So I'm going to say I am testing workflow. And then automation type, it's workflow, right? And then there's a drop-down menu. And these are all the workflows that exist in this HighLevel sub account. So if I wanted to run this contact through like the new listing added, I would just select it. And I can either send all the emails to myself at once. So like maybe I don't want to wait for all the timing things to go off. Like I just want to see what they all look like. So I can send them all at once, or I can send at a scheduled time, or I can send in drip mode. So this is just one contact. So we're just going to send all at once. And then I just click add to automation. And now I'm going to go ahead and do this. So new listing added. Actually, I don't want to do this with them here. I'm just going to create a new contact. So let me create a new contact real quick. Add contact here. I'm going to make a contact for myself. Okay. I'm going to put in tom@tomgaddis.com. And then I can put a phone number in here if I want to test the SMSs. Actually, you know what? Okay, and then contact type, I'm going to say I'm a lead. I can choose my time zone if I want. So I'm going to do Pacific. And then I'm just going to click save. So I've now created a contact for myself. Okay, if I go back to contacts, let me go back here. You can see here's the contact I created. Now, if I wanted to give myself a listing on my directory site, I can add an individual contact by just selecting it and adding the business tag. So if I go here and I just add this business tag, it will create a listing on my directory site for me. That's how you can add a listing to an individual contact. But I want to run myself through the new listing added automation. So I'm going to select my contact, and then I'm going to click on the add to automation. And then I'm going to say Tom's test. And then it's a workflow, and I'm going to select the listing, the new listing added workflow. And now I'm just going to say add to automation. Okay. So it added one contact to this automation. So you can add multiple contacts. Now I'm going to dismiss this. And now we're going to go to the automations and we're going to go to that workflow. And I'm going to show you what's going on. So new listing added. You'll see right here, right off the bat, it says active enrolled 1. And if I click on that, you'll see Tom Gaddis was enrolled on June 11th at 1:26. So it enrolled me and now it's waiting for 2 days, right? So you can see these other leads that have been run through this workflow. Again, this is the enrollment history here, right? But let me show you this. So if I just go to the new listing added workflow, you can see there's a couple things. One, do you see this little thing right here? So that's new, right? So when someone is added to your workflow, it already sent me this email. And now it's waiting for 2 days. And so this little thing moves through the workflow so I can see how many contacts are at each stage of my workflow. So I may come in here and see that there's 10 contacts here, 1 contact here, 2 contacts here. And if I click on these, I can see who those contacts are and what's going on with them. Okay. And also, that's one place I can see what's going on. But I can also click on enrollment history and see everyone that has been put through this workflow. And again, I can click on the execution logs and you'll see this shows what it did. On June 11th, it added Tom Gaddis to the workflow. I can view the details if I want to see what happened there. Okay. It executed sending the email. So the email got sent. And right now it's waiting 2 days to move me to the next step. And I can view the execution history, view the contact, and I can go to the action. So really, really awesome, right? Really, really awesome. And yes, Ben, you can segment email lists and add specific lists to specific workflows. So inside HighLevel, under contacts, they have a function called smart lists. And so you can create a smart list, or you could just tag all the contacts that you want, like with a tag, and then you would just separate them out. So you would just pull up, like, let's say that you created a tag for, maybe it's a client that doesn't have a chat widget, right? So let's say that we just added 25 businesses to our Smart Directory site, and we know that all 25 of them, they have no chat widget. So when we add those businesses, or when we add those contacts to HighLevel, we add an additional tag that's like no chat widget, right? Or we create a smart list for them. Then when we want to run them through a chat widget workflow, that's maybe something we created outside of Smart Directory AI, we can come in here and we can segment all of the contacts that have the no chat widget tag, and then we could just select all of them and add them to the workflow, right? Or if we had created a smart list, we would see the smart list up here, and we could just go in and select that specific list and just run all those people through the workflow. So really, really awesome. I wanted to, I see Lori says, I cannot get into my HighLevel account through my Smart Directory. Lori, the Smart Directory lives in HighLevel, so you can't access Smart Directory unless you log into your HighLevel account. So can you clarify your question? Like, for instance, I'm in a sub account here. So this is the sub account, demo directory 1, where my Smart Directory lives. So to access Smart Directory, I have to log into this sub account and then scroll to the bottom and click on Smart Directory AI. And then here's my Smart Directory AI app. So all of the functionality from Smart Directory AI is loaded here. And then all of these other tabs are actual menu items that are HighLevel functions. Okay, so maybe you can do that there. Okay. All right. Look, that is everything I wanted to go through today. Make sure you download the PDF. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, just like, subscribe, drop a comment below, and me or somebody from the team will get you the link to the PDF. If you're on here live right now, Cameron will drop it in. Sorry about the technical issues earlier. I know we went way longer than I intended because of those technical issues. But I would just want to spend a few minutes to answer any questions. So if you guys have any questions for me, please pop them in the Q&A, and I will do my best to answer those questions. So let me go to the Q&A. Let me pull this up here. And let's see. So Joseph says, I was told last week to reload because the pre-built workflows are all empty for me. While we're waiting, can you explain how to reload that part specifically? So Joseph, I think Cameron went over that a little earlier. You would just reload the snapshot. Reload the SmartDirectoryAI snapshot. Mark says, and you suggest we have a different domain than our main domain for our email marketing. Mark, not a different domain. You want to use a subdomain. So look, I'm going to go down to settings, and I'm going to go to
We can't see your screen, Tom.
Oh, yeah. I always forget to do that. I'll just leave it on. That way we can do it. So I'm going to go down to email services. So again, when we're adding the domain, it's not a different domain, it's a subdomain. So let's say that your domain is example.com. That is your root domain. To create a subdomain, you just put something in front of your root domain with a dot. So for instance, if I wanted to, let me kind of tie this into Smart Directory. Let's say that I had a site called example.com. And on example.com, there was all of this information. Like there's a lot of news articles, blog posts. Like, so I want to add a directory to example.com, but I don't want example.com to be the directory because it has a whole lot of other content on it, right? But I want to be able to add a directory to it. So I can do that with a subdomain. So I would just add directory.example.com. Now, whenever someone types in directory.example.com, they will go to my directory site. They will not land on example.com when I have the DNS set up that way, right? So think of your root domain as like your actual name. It's the IP address of your website. A subdomain is like a nickname. A subdomain is like, oh, you're coming to directory.example.com. Oh, that's actually this site, and it points you in the right direction. Go talk to them, right? So you use your domain, but just use a subdomain in the front. So they recommend doing something like MG. You can also do mail. You can do message. You want to make it seem like email related, okay? But you use your domain, your root domain, but you make a subdomain. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and you can still set your from name as whatever your name is, joseph@example.com, and it will look like the email is coming from that your main domain, even though your sending domain is actually the subdomain.
Oh, yeah. And that's a great point, Cameron. I forgot to point this out when I was showing you the workflows and editing them. But like whenever you go into an email, one of the things that you can edit is the from name. And because HighLevel does not function like a regular email account, these from names don't actually have to exist. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say we have hawaiithrive.com, right? I could go in here, like right now, your emails are set to auto-populate your location name, which is the name of your directory. When you set up your sub account, you had to create a name for the sub account. And we recommended you use the name of your directory. That's because it populates this in. So if I send this email out right now, it's going to say from hawaiithrive.com because that's my location name, and it's auto populating that. Now, it might be better to come from a person. So you could go into these emails, and instead of having the location name be here, I could just change this to Tom at hawaiithrive.com. Now, this is not a real email. This email does not exist, but it will show that as the from name in this email. And if someone replies to this email, where will I see that reply? I will see it in the conversations tab, right? Or if I've set up a forwarding, I will also get it that way, like I showed you earlier. So you can make this from name anything you want, and it does not have to be a real working email address. Now, if someone gets my email and they copy this and they try to send an email directly to it, it's not going to work because this is not a real email address. The only way they can respond to this is clicking reply to the actual email. Does that make sense to everyone? And then you can also edit this. Like if you don't want to edit this in the workflows, if you go back to where marketing, emails, templates, and let's go new listing added, okay? I can go to this email, and if I click on these three little dots next to save template, and I click settings, you can see here's the from name as well. So I can edit this on the template, and then I don't have to go change it in every place this email is used. So I can just make this Tom at hawaiithrive.com. And now wherever this template is used, it'll show that as the from name, right? Or I can
and
actually,
I would actually use your email.
yeah, I would actually do it like this. So I would just say Tom Gaddis as the from name, and then I would put Tom at hawaiithrive.com right here. So now when this email comes out, it's going to show us from Tom Gaddis, and then it's going to say the from email will be this. So this just overrides any settings and makes it when this template's used, this is the from name and this is the from email. So you can have multiple from names, multiple from emails, right? Like if you really wanted to, if you were really wanting to get advanced and test your deliverability, like you could have, you could do this just to really let's really go down the matrix. So if we go to automations, and I go to SmartDirectoryAI and I go to this new listing added, right? I could go to this email. I could have this email come from Tom Gaddis at tom@hawaiithrive.com, right? Then I could go down to, say this email, and I could have this email come from Sherry, and the from email could be Sherry@hawaiithrive.com. Because maybe I want to test and see, well, if it comes from a woman, will they open it versus coming from a guy? Like, so you could have multiple from names, multiple from emails in each thing in an attempt to help get your open rate. So, in the beginning, I would just send them from one, but like if you're struggling with people opening the emails, maybe try that, play with some of those names, do something to try to get attention or something like that there. Okay, so it's in addition, not replacement in the reply right. So I'm not sure what your question is there. Robert says, can you use the same sending domain in multiple sub accounts? So I think you can use the same in multiple, right, Cameron?
I'm not sure on that actually. I'd have to check, but I would assume that you can.
Well, I know you can connect a domain at the agency level, right? And use it in different accounts.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Valerie asked, what email check do we recommend? Cameron, is there one that we're using on the team?
We've used Never Bounce.
Never Bounce.
HighLevel actually has a built-in verification. So you can just Google that HighLevel email verification. You'll see all the stuff about the settings on that. You can use that if you want and pay for it right through your HighLevel account. Dorn also put another suggestion in the chat I saw earlier. Just a minute. I'm scrolling up to see if I can find it. Dorn, if you're around, maybe you could stick that in the chat again. I know you said never bounce, and then there was one other one that you suggested as well. Never bounce is really the only one we've used outside of the built-in HighLevel. Recon, yeah, that's it. Recon. Thank you guys, Michael and Douglas. That would be another one to check. Recon. I haven't used that personally, so I'm not sure on that, but Dorn says it's good.
Yeah. So Suzette asked, is it, if we're sending copies and things, can we have more than one email? Yes. So I think what she's talking about here is in under your email services, in your reply and forward settings, like you can, like when someone, so that email that I set up, tom@hawaiithrive.com, that's not a real email address. I could go in here and set up a forwarding address so that when somebody replies, and it would come to my personal email address so that I want to see it. And you can put multiple emails in here. You just separate them by commas. Okay. Same thing down here. You can do multiples there. Jan says, so if my directory white label domain is mydomain.com, is Go HighLevel using, or whether should I really be using that domain for cold or even for existing customers? Isn't it safer to set up a .net or .org? No, you can use that domain. Just use a subdomain for the mailing. Don't use, uh, don't, yeah, use, just set up a subdomain. Like we have hawaiithrive.com as our main directory. And then we have mg.hawaiithrive or msg.hawaiithrive.com is our emailing domain. Joseph says, so if I currently have an email for the business, example, info@business.com, would I just make an extra one like mail@business.com and add that here and on the Gmail suite that controls them, or just here? So Joseph, you could use it as a from email in HighLevel. And then if somebody copied it and pasted it, you would get the emails because it's an actual email address, right? You don't really have to connect it as long as your domain is connected. But one thing that is really nice is if you go into your, if you go into settings and you go into your My Profile and you scroll down, HighLevel has this awesome two-way sync. So you can do this with Gmail, G Suite, or Outlook. So like we have all of our agency emails set up in G Suite. So if I wanted to use that email address in HighLevel, I can just click this, connect that G Suite account, and then my G Suite emails will show up in the conversations tab here, and I can respond from one dashboard. I don't have to go into my G Suite to do that stuff. Hope that makes sense. Cameron, I know you have to go. If you need to jump off, go ahead. Suzette says, where do I go if I have a call come through but didn't seem to connect all the way? Can I see somewhere the call for a callback? Suzette, yes. So you should be able to see that either in, like if you go to your phone numbers, there's a bunch of stuff up here, right? So there's a usage summary, regulatory banner, trust center. Let me see if it's in here. If you have it set in a workflow, you can see it in the workflow. So call scripts. I don't think it's in here. So inside the workflow, like if you're sending out like if you had an automation in here and the automation did a call and it didn't go through or whatever, you would just go into that workflow and you would go to the execution logs and it would tell you like attempted call, and you could view the details and see why it didn't work. Bobby says, if I went down the rabbit hole and added gun email and don't want to use Mailgun, how can I cancel or delete Mailgun settings? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I think you can just switch your SMTP over to lead connector and then cancel Mailgun.
Yeah, I think if you just go into your settings, email services, you should see somewhere in there that you can enable lead connector.
Yeah, and then it'll just take on the other. It says,
Yep.
won't MCP displace the need to create workflows manually? What is, I'm missing what MCP is.
Oh, that's the model context protocol or something like that. It's
Oh.
the it's an AI thing. So basically,
Hmm.
it's kind of like an API, like a universal API for AI models. Um, yeah, maybe someday
Maybe.
it will replace, but for right now, we're still doing this manually.
So that says, what is the setting to capture the social post, such as on Messenger, that they can contacted us on to have it added in the contacts communication record? So, Suzette, let me show you this real quick. So, when you're in a workflow, I'll just use the new listing added. Like, if you want, I'm not sure exactly what you want to do here. So, let's say that you have a Facebook form, and when someone fills out your Facebook form, you want them to go through a workflow. So, you would do that by clicking on add new trigger. And if you just type in form, you'll see Facebook lead form submitted, and you'd select that as your trigger. So if you have a Facebook lead form set up, when somebody submits it, it would put them in this workflow. And you can see the other types of forms. This is like website forms, TikTok, LinkedIn. I hope
Yep, and I think there are triggers too, Tom, for messages. Like if you just type Facebook,
there are. So
yeah.
like if I just type Facebook comments.
Oh yeah, you've got to connect there. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
That you've got to connect your
you got to
pages,
connect a
right?
page.
Yep.
But yeah, then it'll put them in if they leave a comment. Okay. Hopefully that's what you were
Yeah, I
looking
think that
for.
there's got to be a trigger too. I don't know what it's called, but I believe there's a trigger too for responses to Facebook messages. Maybe it's
Well,
called
if
Messenger or something like that.
I think there's an action for that. Like if you go in here and you type in Facebook,
Yeah, interactive messenger.
yeah,
You don't have to
there's
say you're
like
connected.
interactive messenger right here, right? But you yeah, you got to have some things set up for that. That little search bar for triggers and actions is really handy because you can just
Yeah.
start typing in what you want and you'll find a lot of stuff in there. On the test, the workflow, is it going to keep the time delayed also, or just the content and actions? So, Suzette, as I showed, it keeps the time delay. So if I run the person, like if you test the workflow, I think it still keeps the time delays, but when you add a contact, for sure it does. So the mark as read will show me if they read it. Is that what the toggle is for? Yes. Joseph says for deliverability, is it wise necessary to email open reply to yourself daily to offset those that are not open replied to, or is it a one-time thing? Joseph, it's a early on thing. So like if you could have friends open and reply and you do that with some of your emails on a daily basis for the first week or two, like you should be getting responses and replies from the emails you're sending out. So like if you're adding businesses and sending out things and you're just not getting any reply, then that tells me the lists you're uploading probably aren't very good. So you'll want to go back and try to put together better lists that will get better responses. So, the emails, like the emails with all the custom business information about you have a free listing and stuff like that, they should be getting opens, right? Like they get opens and they get clicks and they get responses. If they're not, then there's a bigger problem there. So you want to do a little investigation into that. On a contact that has a value field of bot, can I automatically add a tag need bot automatically if the field? Suzette, I do not know the answer to that one.
Um, yeah, so you'd need a workflow, Suzette, and then there should be an action that's something like if else. Maybe you can find that, Tom, and just see.
Yeah, here. Well, I know the if else.
Yeah, if if else. So what you would need to do, Suzette, is use this action and then have it check whether the person's bot field is empty or not. And then once it checks, it's going to branch into two different branches, one for the people whose bot field's empty, one for people whose bot field is not empty. And then below that, you could add the thing to add a tag to the people you want.
Yeah,
And then you just have to make sure everybody gets into that workflow. right? So whether you want to trigger it based on like every new contact, or however, if you want to manually add them, but you just would add them to that workflow, it would check if the bot field's empty or not, and then add the tag if it is.
Yeah, and this if else function is like you can use it for a lot of things. If they do this, take them down this path. If they do this other thing, take them down that path. So it's a pretty powerful action to have in your workflows. Anon says that was the problem. I can't get into HighLevel and they cannot find me there to create my smart directory. Thank you. Hmm. Do you know? I'm not sure who this is, but did you have a sub account under somebody, or are you paying $97 a month for a HighLevel account? If you could do me a favor, if you can submit a ticket at offlinesharks.com/support. Like, we can't help you get access to your HighLevel account because we're not HighLevel. But like, if you can maybe give me some details on exactly what the issue is, maybe we can suggest a course of action. Michael says how to move contacts in agency sub account to SDI sub account contacts. So, Michael, that's a great question. So, uh, one of the things you could do is like we only move people from our directory sub account to our agency account when they become a client. So we like to keep it separate. So, if they're when they sign up for a marketing service from us, we create a sub account for them in the agency and we start handling everything from there. Until then, they're in our directory sub account and they're getting emails and follow-ups from hawaiithrive.com that talk about Mina marketing, but not directly from Mina marketing. So uh, if that's the case for you, if that's how you want to do it for you, you can either just when you sign them up as a client, that's part of your onboarding. You create a sub account and move them over. Or you could do it with an automation where, like, if this person upgrades to premium, move them to this list in this other sub account.
Yeah, and the action for that is called, I think it's called copy contact. Right in that workflow, you can just add anywhere you want. Yeah, right there. It is a premium action, so just so you're aware, it will cost a little bit to use that action. But I mean, it's tiny. It's like a fraction of a penny. But that's a spot if you wanted to automatically move them over, then you can set that up and copy the contact right to another sub account. You can even
And you
take the
can even
tags and
add
the fields
tags.
and yep.
Yeah, and all that stuff as well. Bill Shore says, if I import a new list of businesses into Smart Directory, can it check for duplicates as I might already have some of the businesses listed? Cameron,
Yeah,
does it?
it's going to check for duplicates automatically.
Yeah.
It can't not check for duplicates, Bill. So you either based on the phone number or the email address, depending on what you select there when you're importing, it's going to make sure that none of your contacts are duplicates.
So Suzette said this was in the template setting for the email. So the reply section is in addition to the reply that goes into there, not a replacement for the reply, right? Well, uh, Suzette, I'm still not clear on what you're asking me there. So if I go into an email template, and I go to settings, when I change things here, it will change it anywhere this template is used. There's no in addition to, like, it's whatever is here is going to be used when this email template is used. So I hope that answers it. So is that we use the root domain and we just put mg or msg dot in front of it. We do exactly what HighLevel recommends on that page. I don't see any reason to not follow their recommendation. They have pretty good recommendations. They got a pretty solid track record. They know what they're doing. I trust that, based off our experience, we just follow their recommendations in those cases, and it typically always works out. Bobby says, I've been fighting with the email all day, and now the directory site will not come up. Bobby, that sounds like a DNS issue. So I'm guessing when you say that you've been fighting with the email, that you have been messing with the records in your domain name settings. So like your MS records, your A records, it sounds like something got changed in there. And now that's why the directory isn't showing up. So you want to make sure that you only have, so when you go into your DNS settings for your domain, you want to make sure there is only one A record. And an A record, remember, is like if you had a friend named example.com and their house number was 1234, that's an A record. It's the exact name tied to an exact IP address. So when in your DNS section setup, you should only have one A record. So there'll only be one record that says A record, and it will have an @ symbol, and it will have the IP address of your Smart Directory AI. And you get that in your domain configuration setting. So if you have more than one A record, or you've created another record to try to, I don't know, that things happen. So just go make sure you only have one A record that's pointing to the IP address for your Smart Directory. And then
Yeah, one A record for your root domain.
For your root domain,
if you have subdomains, then you could have multiple A records, but only one for either your @ symbol, the root domain. There should only be one A record for that.
Yep. Oh, she's talking about the messenger conversation.
Yeah, Suzette, I think it's called reply. Tom, I don't know if you could take a look real fast. I think that's what that action is. Something about customer reply.
Yeah, let me go back.
And you can select which channel, I believe. I think that's the trigger, excuse me, that you're going to be looking for, Suzette. Yeah, there it is. Customer replied, and then I think you can filter there by channel. If you add a filter, select, I think it's going to be channel, Tom, or something like that. Reply channel right there. And there you go. So that's all of the different places that customers could be contacting you. You can select those there. And then as soon as, if you select Facebook Messenger, then anytime a Facebook message comes in to the Messenger account that you have connected here, it's going to fire this workflow if you set this up as the trigger. You wouldn't want to do this, obviously, for your claim request approved. We're just using this as an example, but you could create a new workflow. I would recommend one for each separate channel. So every time a Facebook message comes in, it does this. Every time a text comes in, it does that. And that's actually the same trigger that you use for that missed call text back.
Yeah, I don't know who the anonymous person is. He says, yes.
I think she asked earlier, remember, Tom, about she said she signed up, but she couldn't get in. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know, but if you're talking about your HighLevel subscription, like HighLevel is the only one that can fix that. We don't really have any control over that. But again, maybe send us in a ticket with exactly what's going on. Maybe we can help you try to figure it out. Bobby Taylor, this is our last question, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. So it says, I just want someone to fix it. There is no A record, but not way to edit. Yeah, Bobby, I mean, it's a little out of scope of our support, right? Because the A records and all that stuff is in your domain registrar and all those kinds of things. But maybe if you could submit a ticket, offlinesharks.com/support, and I'll see if we can get somebody to help you.
Yeah, Bobby, and make sure you let us know in that ticket what registrar you're using, because depending on, if it's Namecheap, if it's GoDaddy, each one has a different kind of setup and a different place you have to go to connect the domain and all of that.
Yeah. Well, look, awesome stuff, guys. Again, sorry for the internet issues early on, but we were able to get back and get on track. Make sure you download the Winning with Workflows PDF. I hope this clarified some things, opened up your mind to the possibilities and the power of what you now have with HighLevel and with Smart Directory AI and all that stuff. So if you see this on YouTube, make sure to give me a like, give us a subscribe. Really appreciate everybody being here. Again, if you think of any questions after, offlinesharks.com/support. And then hopefully I will see all of you on this week's Friday live coaching call. That happens every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, you can find it in the Facebook group or the YouTube channel. So thanks a lot, everybody. Stay safe, practice aloha, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.